In this video, we will cover basic troubleshooting for the above floor slide out.
For troubleshooting, we have several scenarios in the column of what is happening, and then we have a column here of the why, which is what is the problem that's causing this, and then lastly we have what should be done or what should we do to solve the problem. So we'll start with room doesn't move when switch is pressed. So that could be restrictions or obstructions. That could be if you're driving the room out and there's a tree limb or something like that, or if you're pulling the room back in or retracting it, you might have tree limbs on top. Or you could also have restrictions on the inside, and that's your pillows and your luggage and your teddy bears and that type of thing. So make sure all of that's clear, and we'll move on to the next one. So that is low battery voltage, blown fuse, or defective wiring. So go through that list. Make sure that your battery is fully charged and maintained at a full capacity. If the fuse is blown, replace it and make sure that nothing is causing that. And defective wiring could be corrosion or dirt and debris or a wire that has fallen off completely. So make sure that that's all solved. And then excessive room drag, double check and make sure your transit bars are removed. For the next scenario, we have power unit runs, but the room is not moving. So make sure the gear key that is underneath the crown gear and allows the drive shaft to drive the crown gear, if that's sheared off, broken, or lost, go ahead and replace it. The next one, broken crown gear. So if the crown gear itself is broken, loose, or has moved off the gear key and is off the track of the slide rail, go ahead and reposition that crown gear and tighten those set screws. And finally, we have broken gear in drive assembly. So the drive assembly is the motor and that gear pack on there that drives the drive shaft, that whole thing. If you have a gear inside there that's broken, the drive assembly needs to be replaced as a whole. The motor will run, you can hear the motor running, but the drive shaft isn't turning. For the next one, we have power unit runs, but the room moves slowly. So make sure that your battery is fully charged and that it is maintained at the full capacity. Make sure that your grounds have a good tight connection. And the last thing, just like your car in really low temperatures, it might be moving slow because it's really cold. And the last one here, room is in a bind. Just make sure that you're checking for obstructions and that your room is properly adjusted. For the next scenario, we have room starts to move and then stops. So you have low battery voltage, blown fuse, or poor connections, or defective wiring. Just make sure that you have the battery charged. If the fuse is blown, replace that and go through your wiring and make sure the connections are good. And lastly, obstructions of room, inside or outside, we talked about that. Just make sure it's all clear of all your obstructions, both outside and in. For the last scenario, we have room chatters during operation. So that could be either the teeth on the crown gear or the teeth on the slide rail. So inspect those. If any of those are broken, go ahead and replace the crown gear or the slide rail, or both if they're both broken. And for the last one, we have rail not aligned with the drive body. So we have those adjustable rail guides. They are white and you adjust them with an Allen wrench. Make sure that those are aligning the slide rail in there so it's not chattering down the path.